What I want to discuss next is roasting peppers. Very, very simple to do. And I know many of you go to the farmer's market or go somewhere where they're roasting big batches of pepper and you get a whole bag full of steaming, hot, roasted pepper. Around here, usually it's something like this, an Anaheim, a Hatch, a Jim. And again, they make wonderful pork green chili. To roast them though, it's really, really simple at home. There's no reason to even buy roasted bell peppers after you see how simple it is to roast them. What we're doing is charring the skin completely. As we're charring the skin, we're infusing that smokiness into the flesh below, and we're totally going to get rid of that charred skin. I don't want to consume the charred skin, so after you've roasted the pepper, we're going to make sure we allow it to sit for a while and steam, and I'll explain that further in just a moment. But I want to make sure I'm going to get all the skin off the pepper. I'm going to throw these, as you can see, right over top of my gas flame. If you do not have gas at home, it's really a good thing to use your charcoal grill or your gas grill for. Put the peppers right on the grill grate and char them on all sides. I'll use tongs, and when I see I've got a nice black layer, I'm just going to roll the pepper and I'm going to char every single side. Once that's done and once it's beautifully charred, I'm going to put it into a bowl, which I have right here. And I'm going to cover my bowl with a heavy plate, a piece of plastic, a piece of foil, something to hold the heat and allow those peppers to steam. That's going to make it very, very easy for me to peel the peppers later on. If you do not give your peppers enough of a char, they become very, very difficult to peel. So you want to make sure you're using the highest flame on your gas range if that's what you're using, and get those peppers nice and black. Make sure the peppers are dry. Really no need to wash the peppers because you're peeling off all of that skin anyway. While these are roasting, quickly, green chili, which is pretty common, certainly in Colorado because we have all these lovely green chilies to use. Pork green chili is something that I like to make more so in the winter, but when all these chilies start appearing, I'm sort of inspired to make it, and sometimes I actually will just freeze my roasted chilies from the summer and wait until the fall or the cooler months and make a batch of pork green chili. Pork green chili is simply a bunch of roasted green chilies, hence the term green chili. You can use whatever you like. If you like a little more heat in your green chilies, use more jalapenos, throw in a serrano. If you want to keep it a little more mild, a little sweeter, use more poblanos, use more Anaheims, the Hatch, the Jims. It's nice to use a combination of chilies because they all provide subtle flavors. They're not all exactly the same as far as their flavor characteristics, so use a variety and make it a little more complex. So you're going to start out with roasted chilies. I usually saute up some pork. If I'm in a hurry, I'll simply use bacon. I'll saute up my bacon, take the bacon out of the pan, and then start building on top of that bacon fat, meaning I'll throw in some yellow onion, I'll throw in all of my roasted chilies, my jalapenos, etc. I'll throw in a little chicken stock. You could use water. And then I will finish it with, I usually throw in some tomatillos. I usually throw in some cilantro, and it's as simple as that. You can take it really in any direction you want, but that's really the foundation for any type of green chili or pork green chili. Traditionally, they're going to use something like pork shoulder or pork butt, sometimes it's called, and that's just going to require a long cooking time for that pork. So you almost have to braise the pork and then pull the pork away from the bone, if there's bone, and have those nice pieces of luscious braised pork mixed in with your green chilies. Really nice. So as you can see here, I'm getting some nice char on my red bell pepper and on my Anaheim. And that's the amount of char that I'm looking for on all sides. So I'm just going to roll. And if you don't have gas, like I said, use your grill. Use a broiler. So you could put these on a sheet pan or a cookie sheet, get them right up under your broiler, and do the exact same thing. Let them char on one side, turn them, let them char on the next side, until you're all blackened. Getting pretty close here. Remember, I've got my bowl waiting with a lid or a plate. I want to trap or capture the heat from these peppers when they come right off the gas. I want to capture that heat so they actually steam, and it becomes they become very, very easy to peel at that point. Now that our chilies are beautifully charred on all sides, I'm going to put them as quickly as I can into a little steel bowl. Get a plate on top so they can sit in here just for a few minutes. I want them to cool down so I can actually handle them. I need to peel them. Don't want them to be too hot. And I also actually want them to steam so we can release the skin easily. While those are steaming, let's discuss some dried chilies that we have. Very, very simple to dry your own chilies. A lot of people think or are intimidated by the idea of drying anything. Very, very simple. There are a few ways of doing it. You can either use a food dehydrator. Many of you have those. If you know how to use it correctly, you want to get your chili washed, dried, put it in the food dehydrator, and it should end up looking something like this. So maybe it's going to take 6 hours, maybe it's going to take 8 hours. It depends on your dehydrators. You can also, if you do not have a food dehydrator, do the same thing. Wash your chilies, dry your chilies, and put them in the oven, and put the oven on the lowest setting. Here to show you all is what we call the Holy Trilogy of dried chilies. So we have 3 different types. The reason they're called the Holy Trilogy is these are the 3 that are commonly used as the base of most moles. Mole sauces are drastically different depending on where you are in Mexico. However, most of them have at least 1 or all 3 of these chilies. The dried chilies I have in front of me, these long ones, are pasillas. Guajillos are the next. And then the last are anchos. Anchos are actually dried poblanos. If you can see the resemblance there, it's difficult to see, dried poblano. If you have an abundance of chilies, fall has arrived and you have all these fresh chilies and you don't know what to do with them, certainly roast some like we've done, freeze them in a roasted state, wonderful, dry them. All you have to do to rehydrate dried chilies is I typically open them up and I want to get most of the seeds out. So I just crack the top of the chili off, and I'm going to shake most of the seeds out before I introduce water. I then take it under the faucet and I rinse it because it gets a little dusty over time, things like that. Rinse it and then soak it in hot water. I usually throw it in a bowl, cover with hot water, and then I put a heavy plate or something sitting right on the top of the chilies so it sinks them and they actually are sitting in that hot water. And you need to do it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just until you can pull it out and they feel nice and soft. You can then use them just like you'd use any of your fresh chilies. You can make wonderful chili sauces, things like that. Very, very nice thing to have in your kitchen, dried chilies. And many of you have probably seen the wreath or a big long rope of dried chilies. It's called a ristra. You certainly can do that with your fresh chilies. It's a way of drying them. You would take a piece of butcher twine, tie 2 or 3 together, tie it to the piece of string, and then tie another bundle below, tie another bundle below until you have a nice long string of chili. Let's see what's going on in this bowl with our roasted bell pepper and our roasted Anaheim. So this is still pretty warm, but it's I can handle it. And all I'm doing now, if you can see, I am taking my thumb and I am just sliding that charred skin right off. This is messy. If you're doing a bunch, if you're making a big batch of chili rellenos or something like that, you're going to want to get your friends in the kitchen with you and get a little help with this. When you're satisfied, I then usually just split it open with my finger, and you can pop the top off, which contains most of the seeds. So I try to get that off all in one piece, and then you can easily just slide the remaining seeds off. If you want to take some of that vein, remember I said most of the heat in a chile is in the seed and in the vein. You can easily peel the veins right off as well. Although these Anaheims are pretty mild, I'm not concerned with burning my hands or burning my palate too much with an Anaheim. Get most of the seeds off. Again, these are ready and would make a wonderful green chili. Just give you a little bit of information on the world of chilies. There's so much more to it. I just wanted to show you some basics. I need to go wash my hands. I'm Chef Michael Montgomery. Thanks.